Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and extremely sorry for the delay. Uh, we have started making an attempt to understand the Quran, and we first tried to understand Surah Al-Fatiha, and thereafter we decided that we are going to now do Surah Al-Asr onwards, right? That's what we decided. Why did we decide that? Why did we decide? These questions I do because A, we want to be clear as to what we are doing. And B, I want to know how much have you forgotten in the last 7 days. So why did we choose to jump from Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah number 1, to Surah Al-Asr, Surah 103? Why?
Yes, it is very much spiritual.
Right. So we thought that, it would not be a bad idea that we remember the very last surahs of the Quran and we recite them in our prayers. So if we understand what they mean, it will help, right? So that's one reason. But when we started doing Surah Al-Asr, I found it important that I let you know the context. Whenever you read the Quran, any passage of the Quran, it is extremely important, useful that you know the context of the Quran. So while discussing the context of the Quran, I talked about the fact, and forgive me for repeating it over and over again, I want it to be imprinted in your mind, so that whenever you read the Quran, understand the Quran, you have these things in your mind. And if you think that what I'm saying is what you don't understand or you disagree with, let's talk about it. So you don't understand. What we understand should be there in our minds, clear, so that when we read the Quran or we talk about the Quran, we know what we are talking about, where are we talking about from, and what is the context, right? So the entire Quran, I keep repeating, is the saga of the messengers Inzar. And what is Inzar? Warning. Warning. The entire Quran from A to Z is about it. Allah Almighty chose many humans as prophets, right? The prophets were the men we call Nabi, the plural of which is Anbiya. Amongst these prophets, some were chosen to also be messengers. And messenger is Rasul. And the plural is Rusul. Now, those prophets who were also Rasul were the men who, when they would go to their nation with Allah's message, and they will deliver it so very clearly that the people will have no choice but to accept it if they are good people. If they are good humans, they will accept the message. Why? Not because of force, not because of what we call danda, but because of the message, being convincing. The message makes a lot of sense. Sooner or later, not in 1 day or 2 days, not in 1 week or 2 weeks, in a matter of a few years, the very good people would accept immediately. Others who have difficulty or doubts would take time. Sooner or later, all reasonable, good human beings would accept the message, right? But there would be others who would not accept. They would be stubborn. Why? Because they were arrogant. Because they were so strongly influenced by their desires and their worldly commitments that they would not give truth any importance. For them, truth, good, goodness, virtue had no importance. That is also not a big problem if you start realizing that you're wrong. We do many things wrong. Like, for instance, this door is open, it's wrong. So I can close the door because it's disturbing me. So whenever you do something wrong and you realize that it's wrong, you correct it. No problem. Imagine that there were people who knew that what they were doing, what they were following, what they were believing in was all rubbish. And there was a man who was telling them that I am from your creator, your God. And I'm telling you that he wants you to mend your ways, correct yourself. And they did not. They were adamant, they were arrogant, and they did not change. So what happened at the end of each of the stories of Rasul, messengers, at the end of each story, what happened was that the nation that rejected the messengers, they were punished. They were punished. That is why we read so much about punishments in the Quran. The nations got punished. Nuh alayhi salam, Hud alayhi salam, Saleh alayhi salam, Lut alayhi salam. Who am I missing? Shuaib alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam. These are the 6 messengers who are talked about in the Quran over and over and over again. You know why? Because the last of the messengers whose saga is the Quran, the description of his story. In his case too, that punishment had to come. And the people who were rejecting him, they were being warned that this punishment will come. And what is the Quran? Quran is that warning. It's the story of the warning that was done on those people. And it spread over 20 plus years. And within the description of that warning, there was obviously guidance given to the followers. There was a description of faith and everything. But all that was done to make sure that this warning is properly made. And those people who rejected, they're taken to task. And their ultimate punishment is described. So that this story, this saga, when it is preserved for all times to come and people read it, they know that they are reading a story which is true and which is telling us that all those people who are evil, they're going to be taken to task. The way some evil people were taken to task in this very worldly life, right? So that's what the entire Quran is. Are you with me? Are you getting the point? So that's how we read the Quran. So now we had begun to read Surah al-Asr, which is the 103rd Surah of the Quran. And in this Surah and the subsequent Surah, which is Surah al-Humazah, the Almighty is talking about the fact that there were people who are going to be destroyed and there are some who are going to be saved. So this Surah 103 and 104 are both forming a pair. They are a pair. Almost all surahs of the Quran are in pairs. How many exceptions are there? 6. Very good. So out of 114 surahs, there are 6 exceptions which do not form a pair. And therefore, 108 surahs divided by 2 are in 54 pairs. These are pairs. What happens in each pair is that when you read the 2 surahs carefully, you would find that there are lots of similarities and there are some differences. So the 2 surahs that together form a pair, they're partners in a pair, they are helping out each other. Very important. Wow. So it's a pair, these two surahs. Now, this surah we started doing, and we'll be trying to find out today that the next surah is a pair, and in what sense? But I started by saying the surah says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر والعصر. I said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek protection from Allah, protection in Allah, God, from the evil whispers of Satan, the rejected one. The reason is that each time you would try to read the Quran, Satan is going to come to distract you. And Allah wants you to focus, because unless you focus to try to understand as seriously as you can, you'll not be able to do justice with the message of the Almighty. Somehow, well, not somehow, understandably, Allah has decided that He will not anyone understand the Quran properly who is not giving the Quran its due attention. I think it's his right to decide that. He has sent a message to us. We are reading it, but you know what? We are not interested. Casually. You will not get anything. So, in order for us to make sure that we are focusing and trying as best as we can, we ask Allah to not be distracted by shaitan. Now, shaitan doesn't really mean that you're looking at some place and you are rejecting it. It's basically your interests, your ideas roaming around and you not being attentive. So we start by making that mention, and we say, al-Asr. And vow is oath, to swear upon. Al-Asr is the time, the era. So I mentioned that in the Quran, wherever there is swearing upon something, there's an oath. What it means is, what does it mean? What is the sense that an oath conveys? Well, Asr, I swear upon the time. Evidence, that's right. I present evidence of the time. Let's say the era of the earlier what? Messengers. You know, the stories of the earlier messengers, which is described in the Quran so many times. The era of the earlier messengers are an evidence. Right? They are a proof of what? Innal insana lafi khusr. That al-insan. Now, al-insan has an al, which is what you have in English, the man, right? Now, al-insan can mean all humans, or al-insan could mean a particular group of humans, right? It has potentially both meanings. So how would you decide which of the two meanings is applicable? The context would decide. One meaning would be out of question. It would not make sense at all. So, innal insana lafi khusr. Indeed, man is in loss or is going to face loss. Is not all men would be. Obviously not the messengers. Obviously not the good people. So we are talking about some people, a particular group of people. Who are those? The people who were there at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, who were rejecting the message. Right? The Quran is telling about them that the era, the times of the earlier messengers are an evidence. Evidence of what? Evidence of the fact. These statements in brackets, parentheses, they're meant to just clarify. They are not there in the verses, but they need to be added for our understanding. They are an evidence of the fact that this man is bound to lose, is bound to be destroyed. Which man? This man. The man who is rejecting our messenger. The man who has been given the message of the Almighty for him to believe in and to accept, and he is not taking it seriously. He's going to be destroyed. In an insan person. So that is what the Quran is mentioning, and it mentions over and over again. But here, the earlier mentions of the messengers has been given as an evidence, as a proof. So what it means is that if the people of Noah, Nuh alayhi salam, and Hud alayhi salam, and Salih alayhi salam, and Lut alayhi salam, and Shuaib alayhi salam, and Musa alayhi salam were destroyed because they rejected their messengers, why will not they be destroyed? So that's an evidence. The evidence of history of those messengers and those nations is actually, it's pretty much making it clear that these people are also going to be destroyed. But Allah would never want anyone to despair, to lose hope. So He always, after warning, gives you a hope, gives you a direction. So He gives that direction. He says, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, except those people, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, except those people who believe. Except those believe. Those people who believe, right? I remember the last we were talking about in the last session was about belief. And I asked this question, why believe? Why accept or believe in something that you can't even see? What is belief? Belief is to accept, acknowledge certain claims which cannot be seen, just to acknowledge them. Why? Because my parents, because my teacher says, and when he says he's very angry, you have to believe. You have to believe. That is why I believe. Is that the reason? How could that be how could that be a reason? Somebody else across the road is saying something else. He said, thou must believe. And those people are impressed by him. And some people are coming here. And here somebody say, you must believe. So, as intelligent young people, you must ask yourself, what is going on? Why are you so angry? Why are you so adamant that we must believe? Why? Tell me why. Why? Why? Why should we believe? I think, the answer is we should believe because our parents are saying it. I mean, if we will say we don't believe, they'll not give us pocket money. Everything will be gone. So better just keep quiet and say, yes, we believe. Yeah. We believe. Is that the reason? So what is the reason? What is the reason? Yeah, very right. We understand the Quran and then we believe. Now, this is a very correct answer, but let me add something. We understand the Quran and then we start the process of believing. You don't believe overnight. What is happening to us? Let's face it. What is happening to us is that we are born to Muslim families, right? So we hear our elders saying that we have to believe, and we say that they are very serious. My goodness. You know, if we say something else, we are gone. So to begin with, we accept it. But in the meanwhile, we are understanding. And I'm telling you, this is a very serious struggle. You've got to use your intellect. You've got to ask questions. You've got to keep searching. You've got to keep talking. You've got to keep critically examining. You've got to keep talking to others. I mean, those others, they're not fools. Why are they believing in something different? So while you follow the tradition of your families, you must keep your mind open. You know why? Because it is a matter of truth. It cannot be accepted simply because something is getting repeated over and over again. I can assure you that this process of repeating something over and over again, if you do it regarding, let's say, Trinity, God is three and three are one. If you keep repeating it without thinking, you will start believing in it. So, belief, as presented in the Quran, is to acknowledge, to accept those unseen realities, which even though we can't see, we still accept them because of the arguments, because of the evidence, because they make sense. And that is only going to happen. That is only going to happen if you open your mind and try to understand. The irony is that many religious people don't open their mind. So what they are accepting is what has been presented to them by their society. So Quran tells us to use our intellect to read the Quran with an open mind, to understand, and then gradually start feeling confident and comfortable. That is what Iman says. Allah, when you read the Quran, is disappointed, displeased, and annoyed with people who don't believe. You know why? Because they do not want to believe. Because they ignore belief. Because they are arrogant. Because they don't show interest in believing, in understanding and believing, because they think that if they are going to take interest in understanding and believing, then probably their life is going to be affected negatively. I'm enjoying my life, man. I'm enjoying my life. If I'm going to start taking this religion seriously, thank God, my life is going to change. I don't want to do it. So there are many people who don't open their minds. So Allah is saying, those people who are not going to lose, who are not going to be destroyed or punished, are those who believe. That is the first condition. So belief is in Allah the God, belief is in life thereafter, and belief is in prophets. And I can assure you, the entire Quran, if you read it properly and carefully, not just repeat its Arabic text, that is important for us. But the Arabic text is to be repeated because it is Allah's word. But we have to understand it. When you read the Quran carefully, you will find that the Quran is mentioning the evidences, the proofs of Allah, of God, that He is one, of the life hereafter, that is going to happen, and that the fact that the Prophet ﷺ and the Quran are from God. The Quran is full of evidences. And you have to understand. And understanding doesn't mean that just listen to them. You have to critically understand them. You know what is critically understanding? You question them. How is this a proof? What is this evidence? I don't understand it. I don't get it. Unless you do it, you'll not get it. Because the Quran has come to guide you, to convince you. It is loaded with evidences, provided you open yourself to them. And it's only then that you will start believing properly. I'm not saying that those who don't understand don't have a belief. I don't have any right to say that. But what I'm saying is that not trying to understand is not the right way. Are you getting me? I don't have to accuse anyone. I have to tell you what is the right way. Why? Not because this is my own philosophical understanding. No, it's because the Quran is saying, right? So, illa lazina amanu, it said for those people who believe. You get the point? وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Except for those people who believe and do, I would say, the right things. I'll tell you why I am saying it. The right thing. Good deeds are the right deeds. Amal Saleh or Amal al-Salihah are the deeds, are the acts, is the performance behavior, which is the right behavior. God has created all us humans in a design that we feel comfortable and good deep inside only when we are doing the right things. It is in our nature. You know, when you do something wrong or suspicious, do you feel good about it? Oh, today I did something really wrong. No, never. You are suspicious from inside and you are suspicious to others. You are a mashkook person, suspicious person. Your conscience is not comfortable. So when you are doing the right things, you feel good about it. Help out some old person. Talk to some old person who needs help politely. Somebody who is in distress. Talk to him in a nice manner. Sacrifice for others. And you feel, really, I feel so good about it. That is why you see many extremely rich people in this world now have realized and they spend a lot of money to help the poor. You feel comfortable. You feel good about it. But we need to do all the good things. So that is what Allah wants us to do. You believe and you do good deeds, the right deeds. Is there any relationship between the two? Or they are two different requirements? You believe and you do good deeds. Are they related or are they completely unrelated? They are so strongly related that you cannot separate one from the other. If you truly believe, you will do the right deeds. And if you are doing the right deeds, you will believe. Regarding me, I'm saying something serious, loud, and maybe to some of you, something strange. Huh? Why? That's right. That's the question. That is what I want you to do. Even when there is no question, after every 5 minutes, just to please me, keep saying, why? And I'll say, great. And you don't get any answer from me. You just enjoy it. Why? But really, that's a great question. Why? I tell you why. When we believe in God and when we believe in life hereafter, what we are believing is that there is a creator who did not just create us. He knows everything. He's right at the moment, right at this moment, he knows what I'm doing. Not only this action, the acting that I'm doing. Right now I'm acting. Not just what I'm doing apparently. He also knows what is in my heart. So, you know, and I also believe, if I also believe that I'm going to be accountable for what I'm doing, how can I do wrong? How can I do wrong? He knows what I'm doing, and he is going to hold me accountable for what I'm doing. And yet I do wrong. How is it possible? Well, it is possible. Sometimes we do it, but you know how? We forget. I believe in God and I ignore it temporarily. And for 5 minutes, for 15 minutes, I start doing things wrong. But then all of a sudden, as soon as I realize, I say, oh, I'm sorry. I now realize you are watching me. I should not have done it. I regret. I seek your forgiveness and I correct myself. So, you believe and you want to go to good deeds. It is absolutely essential. The one leads to the other. Uh, but the other relationship, those who do good deeds, they're bound to believe. This is a little more difficult to explain, but I want to explain to you because this is something which is disturbing me these days. But for that, I need to say, you know, when you are given an invitation to believe, it is basically based on arguments. For example, Allah says, don't you see this big world? And you're a part of it. And the way it has been designed, you have needs which, if they are not properly satisfied, you will not survive. Water, food, air, so many other things. And you know what is happening? The way this world has been designed, it is enabling you to have all your needs. They are being met on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, every minute, every second. How can you do that? But this argument, listen to me carefully. This argument is something that does not convince many intelligent people more intelligent than us. Why? Why? Is it not a good question? You know, the Quran says you use your intellect and you will believe. Why? Because the way God has created this world and designed it, it would lead you to believe that there is one strong, all-knowing, wise, merciful God. There are many wise people, intelligent people who don't believe. Have you ever thought of a reason? Have you ever thought of it? Has this question ever occurred to you? That why is it that many wise, intelligent people, philosophers, scientists, intellectuals, they don't believe? Have you ever thought of it? Good. I'm glad. Because to have questions in your mind is the starting point. And if you don't have a question, then it means that there is some problem. The current is not getting into the machine. So when you think, you start asking yourself, why? So then you try to figure out the answer. No. Okay, fine, no problem. But I'll be a worried man if you don't have questions like these. Imagine, man, this Quran is for all humans, entire humanity. And it says you use your intellect and you will understand and you will believe. And there are many people who use their intellect more than we use, and yet they don't believe. This question must disturb you. Because unless it disturbs you, you will not get the answers. Even if you get the answer, you will not value them because it has never been your problem. But the problem is there. So let me give you a brief answer. The brief answer is that it could be one of the two reasons. One reason is arrogance, and the other reason improper presentation. Either a person who is intelligent and he has been given the message, doesn't want to accept it, or the message has not been properly presented. My worry is, my dear young friend, that it is the second reason. We Muslims have not bothered to present the message properly. You will say, how do you know? How do you know? I will say, you're right, I don't know. But why, out of these two possibilities, I should go for this one? There are many people who say that it's this reason. You know why? They want to absolve themselves from the responsibility. It's a very good idea that, oh, he is to be blamed, not me. I should perform better. I should be a better human. I should present the message to others. I should listen to their criticism. I should answer their questions. Right? So, anyways, what I'm saying is, if you are a good human, you are doing amalu salihat, you are bound to believe. You are bound to believe. Are you with me? But it's not happening. It's either because of this or because of this. So then you might ask, this is what I want you to do. You should approach understanding the Quran this way. When this is what I've said, you should say, what are you saying? You are confusing us. You said that all good humans, they should believe. Yes, many of them are not believing. Now you are presenting something very strange. So what are you talking about? And what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? All good people. Now this is important. All good people. When I say good people, people who do good deeds. What are good deeds? Deeds which are according to our nature. The way God designed us. When they were present at the time of the prophets. When they were present while the prophet was present, any prophet, in their lives, they all believed. They all believed. Right? Why? Because there was no problem of improper presentation. It wasn't there. The message was presented so very impressively that all good humans, they believe. And by the way, when you say arrogance, then the person is not doing right deeds. If you are doing something which is right, then you are humble. The deeds are good, and your intentions, motivation is good. So at the time of the prophets, all good humans believe. Because to every good human, the message of Allah, its arguments, they begin to make sense. But to somebody who is not a good human, either because he's arrogant or because he is into evil ways, despite the arguments, he's not interested. His cleverness of his mind will come up with some counter argument. No, this could be excellent. This could be Big Bang and evolution. Full stop. No. So what I'm saying is that in that case, the things start going wrong. So what I want to say is, let's try to make the presentation proper. That can only happen. That can only happen. How will it happen? How are we going to make our presentation proper? Educate ourselves, follow it ourselves, and then present it properly, politely. That's the way. That's my hope with you. When you do it, inshallah. You understand it, and you will not be able to understand unless you take it seriously. And when you start taking it seriously, you will have questions. And it's such a good process. It's such a good experience that you have questions in mind and you're trying to sort them out, get answers to them through the book of Allah, through the Quran, right? So, except those people who believe and do good deeds. What is it being except that they're not going to be the losers. They are not going to be destroyed. Those who believe and do good deeds. In other words, it's interesting. Sometimes you would find that the Quran says, and also Hadith, by the way, Quran and Hadith should be understood in the light of the Quran. Sometimes it is said in the Quran and sometimes in Hadith that you believe and you succeed. You believe and you succeed. Why? Why? Because if you properly believe, you are bound to do good deeds. It is implied. Unfortunately, because people don't understand this properly, they think that, yeah, we believe, I recite the kalima, I am a Muslim, I believe, and because it is clear that the one who believes will succeed, so I'll succeed. No, sorry. Nothing. There's no free lunch here. Nothing is free. You have to perform. So if you believe, your belief should be the one, not the one that you have got from your parents. Not because of the fact that you were born to the right mother. That is accident, man. That was just by accident. Your belief should be the one that you have earned yourself, understood. And when you've done it, then you start performing correctly. You do good deeds. And this good deeds is followed by وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. It's the same people the people who are not going to be doomed, who are not going to get into khusr, into loss. They are the ones who believe and do the right deeds and urge, exhort each other towards the truth. Towards the truth. Al-Haq. So, when you are somebody who believes and you are committed to doing the right deeds, and you have people around you who, your family, your friends, people with whom you do business, people who are your neighbors, how is it possible that you will not try to influence them? What you are doing is not something casual. It's not that you find that you are fond of rice and your neighbors are fond of wheat. So it doesn't matter. It's a matter of choice. What you are believing in and what you are doing as good deeds, you think is the truth. And these people are not as yet doing it. So you will invite others. Who others? Not people belonging to other cities or countries. People in your surroundings. You will invite them, exhort them to truth. And truth means any truth. If you find me saying something wrong, telling lies, I lose my temper, you will tell me. I find you doing something wrong, I'll tell you. This is something which everybody who believes and does good deeds will do. Why? Because you're concerned about that. Mind your own business. No. You will tell others politely. Because there are some people who are so impolite while they tell others to do things good. They're too strong. That's not the way. That's not the right way. Do it politely. Do it wisely. But you've got to do it. How can you not tell others about things that you deem are important? And you feel that if others are not going to do them, they're going to do it. You will tell others, but you will tell others to let you know where you are going wrong. So this is what believers will do. So, although it looks a little, you feel a little uncomfortable when somebody is correcting you. I'm telling you, the person who is correcting you is your friend. And the person who is always praising you, well, at least I would say he's not your friend, not enemy. Because he's not like letting you know about your weaknesses. But obviously, if somebody is stern and is impolite, tell him that, okay, thank you very much for saying that. Be a little polite. Don't be too stern. There are many people who just, I don't know why, they're angry when they're telling others that they're wrong. It's not polite. The other day you were talking about something. I think what you said was wrong. So, that's a good way, intelligent way. But you ought to do it. But also with haqqi and exhort each other towards the truth and steadfastness. Sabr is to be steadfast in truth. So, if you do something good, just once in a while, as a one-off act, that's not good enough. Good enough. You've got to continue to do it. You have to be steadfast. That is what sabr is. That is, no matter what the circumstances, you've got to continue to do things. Because this life is a trial, and in this trial you are tested. And when you are tested, at times you feel that, it's getting difficult. So I need to tell you, you need to tell me that we have to follow the right track, right path. And while doing so, when we have difficulties, when we have problems, we'll be steadfast. We will do something, right? That is what the Quran is telling us. If people do, they will not lose. But these people, the leaders of Makkah, who rejected the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're going to lose. And how do we know? The time is at the era, the stories of the past messengers, they are an evidence, a proof that these people, the Pharaoh of this era, like the Pharaoh of the era of Musa alayhi salam, this man is also going to be destroyed. That's what it's saying. And the evidence is so clear that the previous Pharaoh was destroyed. Why is he not going to be destroyed? What are the exceptions? How can they save themselves? By believing, and believing in all realities that are presented with their arguments in a way that you can't deny them. When you believe, you do good deeds, which is a natural consequence. It has to follow. And when you do good deeds, and you're not living in a jungle alone, you're living in a society with others, then you will tell others to do what is right, and you will allow others to tell you what is right. It's not a one-way traffic. It's two ways. I'm telling you, you will tell me. That is what corrects. Because if I am just here to deliver lectures and sermons, and there's nobody to tell me that, man, look at yourself, then I am bound to get corrupted, spoiled. So you will correct me, I'll correct. And this is going to happen because we have a relationship. I can't go to people living in Krishna or Cambridge or Mississauga, etc. I don't know them. I know the people around me. So I have to want to do them. And they do it to me. And I also tell them, and you should also tell me that, look here, I know that what I'm telling you to do is not easy, but be steadfast. It's going to be difficult. So this is a complete package, this surah. It is so complete that one very important scholar of the earlier times, Imam Shafi'i, he is reported to have said, obviously it's an exaggerated statement, but just to make its importance felt, he said, had there been nothing revealed in the Quran except Surah al-Asr, it would have sufficed. It would have been enough. Because this surah has a message which is so very complete that if you understand it properly, well, it is good enough for you to know what your creator wants from you. Right? Never mind, we did not start on time, but we should finish on. Yeah.
The reason why you chose the word steadfast patience?
Yeah, because patience, when you use in English and in our context, it really means something passive. Something bad has happened to you, and you are not screaming, you're not shouting, you're not crying. You just what it means actually. That's very much included. But the difficulty that you're going through, the challenges that you're going through, are not withholding you from continuing to follow the right path. But it's actually steadfastness. And when you say steadfastness, it actually means in the wake of difficulty. So there are difficulties, there are trials, tribulations, challenges, and you have not given up. You still are following the right path. That is what's up. Right? And as I said, complete picture, it's complete package, complete message, which it is said about the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, that when they used to meet each other, they would not depart without reading this surah to remind each other. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.